Requirement specification. In this lecture, I will teach you about writing better requirements. What is software requirement specification? And in which phase we write requirements? Remember one thing, that writing is involved in every phase of software development life cycle. Regarding about the software requirement engineering, we make a specification document before requirement elicitation after the project is signed, and that document is called scope and vision document. And then we also write a document during and after the elicitation, and we also write a document at the end of validation, software requirements verification and validation phase. The purpose of scope and vision document is to write the business goals, requirements and user features. But the goal of software requirement specification or system requirement specification document is to write the detailed functional requirements. So now here we will discuss about how to better write the requirements. The process of writing user and system requirements. User requirements have to be understandable by the end users and customer who do not have a technical background. System requirements are more detailed requirements and may include more technical information. Thus, we need a documentation. The requirements may be the part of the contract for the system development. It is therefore important that these are as complete as possible. Ways of writing a system requirement specification. Natural language. The requirements are written using a number of sentences in natural language. Each sentence should express one requirement. The second way of writing a system requirement is structural natural language. Here the requirements are written in natural language on a standard form or template. Means we follow the standard format for writing the structured natural language. Each field provides information about an aspect of the requirement. Design description language. This approach uses a language like a programming language, but with more abstract features to specify the requirement by defining an operational model of the system. But this approach is rarely used, although it can be useful for interface specification. Graphical notations and mathematical specification are also ways of writing system requirements. Guidelines for writing the requirements. These are the few guidelines A shows in front of you. The first is invent a standard format and use it for all requirements. And on Google, if you Google and write the software requirement specification document templates, you will find a lot of templates freely available, and you can download it and write your requirements in accordance to that format. Use a language in a consistent way. Use shall for mandatory requirements, should for desirable requirements. Remember that these grammatical terminologies matters a lot while you are writing the requirements. Laterally in this lecture, I will show you few examples of bad write requirements and good writing requirements. Use text highlighting to identify key parts of the requirement. Avoid the use of computer jargon. Include an explanation of why requirement is necessary. Now these are a few table of contents we will cover. Anatomy of good, bad user requirements, and we will cover it with example. Standard for writing a requirement. Writing a pitfalls to avoid, and a few simple tests. Now, anatomy of a good user requirement. Let's see this example. The example is the outline banking system shall allow the internet user to access her current account balance in less than 5 seconds. Now observe what is wrong with this example, this sentence. Define the system under consideration. Online banking is the system which is under the consideration, and we are going to develop it. Verb with the correct identifier, shall or may. Define a positive end result to access quality criteria in less than 5 seconds. Now, this was the example of the good user requirement. This means that there is nothing wrong with this sentence. But if you observe this, there is something which is not good written. For example, the internet user cannot write a requirement on the user. This means we cannot write an internet user. No identifier for the verb. This means quickly cease. There is no time mentioned and no other information is available. Quickly. It is a vague quality. It means quickly. What does quickly mean? So there is no specified time bound here. So we or developers can assume anything from this sentence. On a laptop screen, what versus how? This means the sentence have a lot of grammatical issues and we have used bad words in this sentence. This is wrong. Standard for writing a requirement. Look for the following characteristic in each requirement. You must have to see the following properties in your document. And alternately, the document is for requirement. So you will check the following properties and characteristic in each requirement. Feasible means the requirement should be feasible. This means it is not a wishful thinking, but are feasible. And remember, one thing is feasibility can be from the perspective of implementation, that either it is possible to implement it or not. Feasibility can be from the perspective of budget, time, etc. needed. Provide a specifics of a desired end goal or result. Testable. This means the requirement should be verified and testable. Clear. Requirement should be written very clear. Unambiguous. There should be no ambiguity in the terminologies. Precise means to the point, and one thought means one goal. Each requirement should map to one particular specific goal. And prioritize. This means the requirement should be ranked, should be prioritized. Note that several characteristics are mandatory, whereas others improve communication. Now come to writing a pitfalls to avoid. Never describe how the system is going to achieve something. Always describe what the system is supposed to do. This means the specification document or the requirements part of the specific software development life cycle focus on what part of the system, not on how. How part is for the designer, and what part is for the requirements engineer or analysts. Now refrain from designing the system. Danger signs using names of components. So don't use the terminologies of designs here, right? Don't write or mention the names of the components, but rather you should write the explicit function, the system requirement name, materials, software objects, field and records in the user or system requirements. So these are the danger signs. Designing the system too early may possibly increase system cost. This means that if you have not properly collected the requirements, finalized and verified, and you go and start work on designing, so this is a danger sign. Do not mix different kinds of requirements, such as requirement for users means user requirements, system means system requirements or functional requirements. So these two are different. These two have different meaning, user requirements and system requirements, and how the system should be designed, tested, installed, etc. Do not mix different requirement levels. For example, the system and subsystems. Now danger signs for this is high level requirement mixed with the database design, software terms or very technical terms. So this means don't mix different level terminologies. Now writing pitfalls to avoid. The system shall use Microsoft Outlook to send an email to customer with the purchasing confirmation. This is wrong or badly written. Instead, we can write it. The system shall inform the customer that the purchase is confirmed. Maybe for listener the two sentences have equal meaning, but the specification document should avoid such sentences, because the purpose of the system is to inform the customer that purchase is confirmed. We cannot use a term such as shall use Microsoft Outlook to send an email to customer with the purchasing confirmation. So try to avoid such unnecessary terms. Never build in let out or escape clauses. Requirement with let out or escapes are dangerous because of the problem that arise in testing. Danger signs are if, but, when, except, unless, although. These are the misunderstanding words. And laterally when developers start working on implementing the requirements, so he or she means the developers can assume the functionalities from their own sides. So they can misunderstand the requirements. If, but, when, except. So please avoid these. These terms may however be useful when the description of general case with exception is much clearer and complete than the enumeration of specific cases. Avoid ambiguity. Write as clear as explicitly as possible. Ambiguities can be caused by the word or to create a compound requirement, poor definition, the words etc. and so on. So don't use the word or etc. and so on. So what does etc. means? So how developer will know that if you write etc. and so on, so this means a developer can assume that some of the requirements are necessary, but not all the requirements are necessary, because we are putting and so on. So this means there can be many possibilities. So avoid these words. Don't use vague, indefinable terms. Many words used informally to indicate quality are too vague to be verified. Danger signs: user friendly. Don't use the word user friendly. Highly versatile, flexible, to maximum extent, approximately, as much as possible, minimal impact. So try to avoid these vague, indefinable terms. So we cannot measure as much as possible. We cannot measure it. Minimal impact. So what does minimal impact means? There is no specific value. So it is not measurable. Approximately. How much approximately? To maximum extent. What is that upper bound? Flexible. What does flexibility mean? So don't try to use these. The easy entry system shall be easy to use and require a minimum of training except for a professional mode. Shall be easy to use and require a minimum. This means this is badly written. Do not make multiple requirements. Do not make multiple requirement. Keep each requirement as a single sentence. This means each requirement should be inside each one particular sentence. Conjunctions, what that join sentence together, are dangerous, such as and, or, with also. For example, if you are writing, user need this requirement along with this and this or this also this. So these are bad words. Do not ramble long sentence with arcane language, references to unreachable documents. This means long sentences are also dangerous. Long sentences are actually the scenarios that come in the start of the elicitation, and then we finalize the user and functional requirement from that stories. So we should write the functionalities to the point. So avoid long sentences and don't refer their documents or resources that are unreachable. Now look for the following example. The Easy Entry Navigator module shall consist of order entry and communications, order processing, result processing and reporting. The order entry module shall. Now, what is the problem with this? We have used too many bad words such as entry and communications, result processing and reporting. And here also the and is used. Do not speculate. There is no room for wish list. General terms about things that somebody probably wants. Danger signs are vague subject type and generalization words such as usually, generally, oftenly, normally, typically. So don't use these words. Do not express suggestions or possibilities, because the specification document fixes all the requirement. The requirements, only those requirements are documented that are fixed from user's perspective and from system perspective. So if you are writing some suggestions, that can be dangerous. And the danger signs for giving suggestion possibilities are may, might, it might be possible, it should be included, ought to, could, we could also include these, perhaps we can do this, probably. So all these terms should be avoided. These are the bad words. The easy entry system may. What does may means? This means if this system does not fulfill this requirement, still it will be okay. So may sound like this. Fully adoptable. What does fully adoptable means? Adoptable is adoptable. So what does fully means? To all situation and often require. So these are the bad words and should not be included in the sentence. Now read the following requirements. The order entry shall provides for quick, user-friendly and efficient entry and processing of all order. So the underlined words are badly written. Quick. What does quick means? There is no specific time given. User-friendly. What is the measurable unit of user-friendly? And efficient entry and processing. Now come and see the second sentence. Invoices, acknowledgements and shipping notices shall be automatically faxed during the night so customer can get them first thing in the morning. So invoices, what does invoice mean? Acknowledgement, what is the sign of acknowledgement and how acknowledgement will be done? And shipping notices during the night. So there is no need of writing during the night. You can print that anytime so customer can get them first thing in the morning. Now see the third sentence. Changing report layouts, invoices, labels and form letter that shall be accomplished. The system shall be upgraded in 1 week. 1 week. The system has a goal that as much of information system data as possible be pulled directly for T&M estimate. So the bad words are underlined. Now finally I will suggest that there are too many templates given and uploaded, so you can help from already designed template and should write your requirements accordingly. But remember these few things. One is avoid the bad words that I discussed. Second is write the requirements in a sequence, such as first write the business goals and requirements, then user requirements or high level features, and then the detailed functionalities. The detailed functionalities both functional and non-functional. You can use a lot of models for representing or analysis purpose. So the document and the requirement should be precisely written, correct, complete, to the point, and there should be atomicity. This means we cannot write a generic word that can cause confusion laterally. So we will come to the atomicity and will split the generic sentence. But avoid the lengthy sentence. Don't put the lengthy and unnecessary words. The requirement should be written concise, precise. Unambiguity should be there and no inconsistency. The requirement should be written more consistent and terminology should not be mixed. That was all about the requirements, specification, document. In next lecture, I will show you the few document formats that you can follow for your developing project. Thank you so much for watching me. Thank you.